brand new polling shows the race for Texas governor is getting closer.
I think that poll shows very clearly how out of step Governor Abbott is with the people of Texas.
How the response to the mass shooting in Uvalde could be changing the course of the campaign. A Texas textbook battle with a biblical figure at the forefront.
We especially want to make sure that Moses is kept in the standards.
The ongoing debate at the State Board of Education that's holding up state school curriculum.
I just hope and pray that he's okay. That's my prayer, that he is okay and we're not ignoring stuff that we could be researching.
Is a loophole keeping a family from finding their missing son? We explore the option that keeps some people off the National Missing Persons Database.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Will Dupree, in for Josh Hinkle. This week, new polling is giving us an indication of how the deadly school shooting in Uvalde is affecting the views of Texas voters. Quinnipiac University polled more than 1,200 Texans between June 9th and the 13th. One striking finding, 6 in 10 parents say they worry there will be a shooting at their child's school. The poll comes as Texas lawmakers are holding interim hearings to determine what steps to take in the aftermath of the Uvalde shootings. But Governor Abbott has not called back lawmakers for a special session. That means no new laws in response to the shootings will be passed until next year. The poll also shows a significant change in the race for governor. Take a look at this. Incumbent Greg Abbott holds a 5-point lead over Democrat Beto O'Rourke. That's a lot closer than we've seen in the past. Back in December, that poll showed the governor with a 15 percentage point lead. Capitol reporter Monica Madden spoke with O'Rourke about this poll and his vision for how the state should approach the aftermath of Uvalde.
How much would you say this most recent poll was a referendum on the governor's response to the tragedy that we saw at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, especially given the polling that Quinnipiac did on parents' concern about another school shooting? Some 60% said that's a concern for them. So how much do you think that was a factor in leading more voters towards you?
You know, Amy and I are parents to 3 kids in public schools in El Paso. And we feel, and a lot of folks who've come up to us have told us that they feel lucky in many cases that their kids made it through the school year. We shouldn't have to feel that way, right? And our kids shouldn't have to be afraid about going back to school this August, but many of them will be because this governor has taken literally no action. I know from listening to and working with Republicans and Democrats alike that universal background checks, red flag laws, safe storage laws, these are things that most Texans can agree on. In fact, Monica, only 6% of Texas voters, according to this Quinnipiac poll, agree with Greg Abbott's position of not having universal background checks in the state of Texas.
If there was Governor O'Rourke right now, what would you be doing differently in terms of the immediate response to what we saw in Uvalde and policy changes that would be supported by Texas?
I would have called a special session literally the day after that shooting in Uvalde. As you know, this current governor has called special sessions to go after transgender kids, to make it harder to vote in the state of Texas, to tell teachers in our public schools what version of history they're allowed to teach. Why in the world he won't call a special session to save the lives of our kids before they return to school? In El Paso, the first day of school is August 1 of this summer. So nothing is going to happen because he refused to call that special session. Were I governor, I would call that special session. On the agenda would be universal background checks, red flag laws, safe storage laws, expansion of Medicaid, $10 billion a year we could bring into this state to fully fund mental health care in our communities. And I'd also put on the agenda how we support our public school educators. You know, Uvalde, for many of them, was the last straw. They've gone through 2 years of pandemic, of learning loss for their kids, attacks from their current governor, and now they see him taking no action to protect them and those kids in front of them in the classroom, and they're leaving literally by the thousands. Were I governor right now, I'd do everything in my power to show them the respect that they deserve and that they've earned, to keep them on the job, and to make sure that they can fully deliver for our kids. So that's leadership. That's what we want from the state of Texas. And I will work with anyone, any Republican, any Democrat, any place, any time, to get this done. This is the agenda of Texas, not the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party, but the people of this great state.
The poll came out at the same time that Texas Republicans met in Houston for their party convention. Governor Abbott did not address the convention. He instead hosted a reception nearby where he spoke to supporters. He vowed to beat O'Rourke and, quote, keep Texas red up and down the entire ballot and preserve Texas values. Texas GOP Chairman Matt Rinaldi addressed the convention too in his bid for re-election. He praised Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, but made no mention of Abbott. Rinaldi made the case that Republicans should stop trying to work with Democrats and instead further leverage their political power in Texas.
We can't compromise with Democrats who have a different and incompatible vision for our future. We need to be a bold and unapologetic conservative party ready to go on offense and win the fight for our country. I want to be clear. Going on offense means when we put our time and treasure into electing Republicans, we expect Republicans to lead our states. And not the party that wants to destroy everything we hold dear. This means that Republicans need to end the practice of appointing Democrats to chair powerful committees in the Texas House.
As you heard, that line drew cheers and even a standing ovation from some there in the crowd. Republican House Speaker Dave Phelan has appointed some Democrats to lead committees during previous legislative sessions. That convention came just days after voters in South Texas helped Republicans gain a seat in Congress following a special election. Republican Mayra Flores will finish the final months of former Democratic Representative Filemon Vela's term in the state's 34th district. Flores beat out 3 other challengers, including 2 Democrats.
Policies that are being placed right now are hurting us. We cannot accept the increase of gas, of food, of medication. We cannot accept that.
Flores does hold the seat for now, but she faces a stronger challenge from current Representative Vicente Gonzalez come November. The Democrat currently serves District 15, but redistricting in that area placed his home in the newly drawn 34th district.
Where is he? That's the everyday question. Where is he?
According to one Texas Police Department, he's voluntarily missing, which is a term experts fear could create a dangerous loophole for families searching for their loved ones. We explain the danger in our ongoing Missing in Texas investigation. A Texas textbook showdown.
But most importantly, he shouldn't be deleted just because he's a religious figure.
The Old Testament religious figure at the center of an ongoing book battle. The changes happening at the Texas Medical Board meant to protect you from bad doctors who are still practicing. Still ahead, the head of the board answers our questions about how exactly it will work.